Hi there, so this is the second part of the video on funding. If you haven't seen the first part where I talk about the reasons you need funding and the things that you need to have in place to secure funding, then you should go watch that video and then come back to this video. Because in this video, I'm sure that you've watched that video, you know what you need to have in place to secure funding, and you need to know the different types of funding that are available for your fashion business. So let's get into this video. I'm excited. I'm Bibi. I'm a fashion business owner and I've been running my brand for 10 years now. This is my platform to share my journey as a fashion entrepreneur. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 4 types of funding as well as give examples of fashion brands that have explored each type. So let's get into it. So the very first type of funding is self-funding, and most of us have explored this path. Most common type of funding where you reach into your savings or you reach out to your family and friends to finance your business. So one fashion business that explored self-funding is Spanx. Spanx was founded by Sarah Blakely and she used $5,000 of her own personal savings to start Spanx. So I find that a lot of people look to her for inspiration for not seeking other types of funding. I myself have been inspired by her journey, but it's important to not look at that source of funding in isolation to the other tactics or strategies that has made Spanx to be what it is today. So for instance, Spanx was a very innovative product and there was no product like that in the market at that time. Today we have Skims and we have so many other shapewear brands, but Spanx was the pioneer. Spanx was also featured on Oprah's Favorite Things. Oprah's Favorite Things was like the biggest thing back in the day. There was nothing also like that. So there were a lot of firsts for her and she was able to capitalize on all those things to make the brand what it is today. So do not look at Spanx and say, oh, I only want to self-finance because Sarah Blakely did it, I can't do it. If you're going to do it like Spanx, then you should have other things that are working well for you, like say a trust fund. I'm just playing, but the reason I'm creating this video is because a lot of fashion businesses are scared to explore different types of funding, and it's so important to know what is available to you and to be knowledgeable of the types of finances that are available to you so that you can build the kind of business that you want in also good time. So the next type of financing that's available is crowd financing. So crowdfunding is quite popular in the US especially, and we have platforms like GoFundMe and we have Kickstarter as well. I find that GoFundMe is more popular here in Nigeria, but I find that people use it mostly to like raise finance for like school fees or like for funerals. I've noticed that those 2 categories are like the leading categories in Nigeria for GoFundMes and for health reasons as well. But you can also use those platforms to raise money for your business. A brand that has done this in the past is Orange Culture. Orange Culture is founded by Adebayo Okelawal, and he was a part of the LVMH finalist. There's a competition for fashion designers, and he was one of the selected designers, and he used Kickstarter to raise money to enable him to participate in that competition. With Kickstarter or any funding platform, you need a very good marketing campaign to be able to drive awareness for your brand, because the key in raising money this way is to be able to capture people's attention through storytelling and sort of just bring them in that they're invested and they want to support by giving you money. So with Kickstarter, most people offer like custom products or a form of perk in order to get people to invest in their brand. With this type of funding, what people get in return is usually like a gift product or like an advanced or exclusive version of the product you're trying to sell. Adebayo was able to raise $5,000 with this campaign. Ministry of Supply was able to raise $600,000 for their campaign for promoting like their dress shirts. So you can raise money for different types of things. I think the key thing here is to make sure that you have a very good, solid campaign driving your crowdfunding and a good product as well. So the next type of funding is debt funding. So with debt funding, you're looking to either a financial institution or a friend or family to give you a certain amount of capital in exchange for an interest on top of that capital. Say you ask for $100,000 and it's at a 10% rate, you're going to be paying back $110,000 back. So there's also the tenure, meaning how long you're allowed to pay the funds back. So you could be paying on a compounding interest rate, which is more common, or on a fixed interest rate. I'll explain this. If you borrow $100,000 for 1 year and it's at a 10% per annum rate, then it means that you're paying back $110,000. But if you borrow for, say, 3 years and it's at a compounding interest rate of 10% per annum, I can't do the math right now, but basically you're going to be paying 10% of whatever balance remains from the principal at the end of the year. So it's going to be per annum. Say in the first year you pay $10,000, then the next year the interest rate is going to be on $90,000, not on the $100,000. I hope you understand that. So those are the things that you need to bear in mind. Most financiers will usually ask for like your business plan and your P&L, bank statements, things like that. And they would ask you also for a collateral or a form of guarantee or guarantor. So you can either get people to guarantee you for the loan or get your actual bank, that your commercial bank that you bank with, to guarantee you for a loan or place an asset in lien of the loan. So there are different securities depending on the financial institution or the person that you're loaning money from. It's very important for you to understand the cash flow of your business to be able to determine if you can afford to take a certain loan. For you to take a loan, I advise that you have a cash flow statement and you have your budget and financial plan for the year to sort of forecast how you can pay that loan back without losing money in your business. Also, pay very close attention to interest rates, because sometimes money seems attractive, but the interest rates may not be as attractive. So the period that you require to pay the loan back, the tenure, is also important. All these things are very important. It's important to consider all these things before taking on loans. The loans that are available in Nigeria for fashion businesses are there's the Bank of Industry Fashion Fund. This loan it's capped at 10 million naira and it's at an interest rate of 9% per annum. Then there used to be the GT Bank Fashion Fund. This was one of the best loan facilities available, and it was at 5%, I believe, per annum, but it was capped at 5 million naira. There's LSCTF. I know they used to give out loans at a 5% interest rate, but I'm not sure how much. I know the interest rate has gone up. I don't know what rate it is, and I know that it's capped at either 5 or 10 million naira. But and there's the Access Bank W initiative, and they give out loans to women specifically. So you can also, if you're a woman in fashion, you can also explore that. Their interest rate is at 15% per annum. So those are like a few financial institutions in Nigeria that you can explore getting bank loans from. A lot of financial institutions in Nigeria actually give out loans to small business owners. They usually have like a division in their banks for that. So you should take advantage and ask your account officer about the loans that are available in your own bank. Some of the designers that I've explored getting bank loans for their businesses are Stella McCartney, Alexander Wang, Proenza Skula, and a host of other brands, to be honest, Rebecca Minkoff. These are just a few of the brands that I've explored getting bank loans for their businesses. So the next type of funding is equity funding. So with equity funding, you're giving a share of ownership of your business in return for capital. So how much of your business you're going to give up is going to depend on the valuation of your business. So there are different types of valuation or different methods that people use to value a business. So the most popular one is your EBITDA, which is your earning before interest and taxes and depreciation. So the thing about valuation is that it can be subjective as well. So how do you value like a brand, for instance? How do you place a number on brand equity? How do you place a brand on how do you place a figure on brand loyalty and all of that? Even businesses that aren't making money are able to raise money. So meaning businesses that are making a loss are still able to raise finance for their business. What's important for investors is the potential of the business, the potential for growth. And this is one of the major reasons why tech was such a big thing. I feel like I mean, AI is still tech, but like traditional tech businesses, tech businesses are now like traditional tech businesses, and AI is sort of taking over the market. And at one point it was NFTs, and at one point it was crypto. So there's all these things. As a fashion business, you have to be aware of the potential of your business beyond just selling whatever you're selling. You have to be able to tell a story, paint a picture that is bigger than what you're currently doing. So with with equity financing, I find that it's about the story, it's about being able to sell the potential for growth to investors. In order to seek this type of investment, you need to have your pitch deck. Your pitch deck is the document that shows your competitive analysis. It shows your the addressable market, your strengths, your weaknesses, how you're going to mitigate risk, your traction. So these are just some of the things that you need to have in your pitch deck. You can also Google pitch deck. There are templates that are available, and you can create one for yourself. With this type of funding, you can have angel investors, you can have VC firms, and you can have private equity firms. So angel investors are typically investors that invest in the earlier stages of for businesses. So venture capitalist firms are usually firms that invest on behalf of other people. So they pull funds together. They do the work of going around to raise money for your business, and in exchange, VC firms will also help you with your valuation and help you to put together a professional pitch deck. So each VC firm will offer you different benefits. So it depends on what you're looking for in a VC firm. For instance, there are VC firms that are particular about women financing. That's Alethea, and funded they funded Real Fruits, which is founded by Afyong Williams. There's also Aruwa Capital in Nigeria, founded by Adesuwa Rhodes Okumbo, and they are particular about investing in women-owned business. They invested in the furniture business, Taylor, Taylor, and Capital. There's a bunch of VC companies in Nigeria, and not just in Nigeria. If you're seeking finances, you can also look beyond the shores of Nigeria, abroad. There are different VC firms and funds that are available to you as a fashion business owner. So I would say that it's not very common for Nigerian fashion businesses to explore this type of funding, but it is available and it's something that you can explore. Even abroad, I haven't found a lot of fashion. Maybe it's not in the open, but during my research, there aren't a lot of fashion businesses that typically explore venture funding. But Everlane is a brand that has explored venture funding. Reformation is also a brand that has explored venture funding. I mean, there's a lot of brands that have actually explored venture funding, but it's not usually the typical route because fashion is seen more as a traditional business as opposed to like a tech business. So if you're exploring funding as a fashion business owner, you have to like sell a bigger story than just selling clothes. The next type of funding that's available to you is grants. Grants is probably my favorite type of funding because most grants are not, you don't have to pay back, there's no interest to be paid back, there's no principal, you're not giving up a part of your company. It's basically like free money, but it's not exactly free money. There's usually a lot of work that you need to do to secure a grant for your business. So depending on who is offering the grant, they usually have their own KPIs or objectives that they're trying to meet as an organization. And they're typically looking for businesses that can mirror these values that they're trying to meet. So for instance, there's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they typically would fund NGOs, that are meeting some sort of SDG goal. That's the Sustainable Development Goals. So there's the Tory Burch Fearless Fund, and it's typically for women-owned businesses. There's also the Sarah Blakely, I think the Red Backpack Fund, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of the funds that are available, a lot of the funds available through grants usually are targeted at solving some sort of problem, whether it's a wage gap or inequality. They usually have targets. So it's important to do your research on what the goals are and for the person or the organization that's granting the fund, and see how your business best matches up with their goals or can help them to achieve their goals. So that's the final type of funding. I hope that you found this video very informative. I know that funding can be quite intimidating. For me, for the longest time in my business, I was self-financed before I explored debt financing and even equity financing as well as grants. So you don't have to stick to one type of financing. You can explore different types. So that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. You share with your friends and family. You subscribe, all the good stuff. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.